Welcome back. As Nigeria transits to a new government come May 29th, the former governor of Ekiti State, Mr. Pt.3, insisted power should be decentralized to allow for smooth governance at all levels. Our correspondent in London attended an event organized by the African Confidential, addressed by Mr. Pt.3.
The world wants to know what next for Nigeria now that the elections are over. People want to know how the incoming administration will achieve all that it has proposed to do. So the stakes are very high. Now the Africa Confidential has pulled together a number of people from various sectors, finance sector, security, and so on, to the heart of London to debate some of these issues with political representatives from Nigeria and also some industry experts. So Patrick, you're part of the guys that put this together. Why is this so important?
Well, I think it's such a moment, seminal moment in Nigeria's history, but there's also a concern of, what the new government is likely to do in policy terms, how it's going to affect the way they do business, and for the Nigerians in the audience, how it's going to affect their livelihoods, their living standards.
I think this is uncharted territory. I think that the value of these kind of discussions, what investors are looking for is some kind of a route map, signs to look out for of where Nigeria is going.
So this administration has to get a balance. They need to get some quick wins. They need to do things which are symbolic and demonstrate what their intent is, but at the same time, they need to make haste slowly, as we say.
For example, I think that Nigeria should be growing at double digits, not single digits. I think the issue of power has to be addressed because it's at the root of everything: industry, agriculture, enterprise. I think the issue of employment, especially youth employment, needs to be addressed.
I also asked about devolution and continuity, whether there will be a more decentralized government or if the attention once again will be on the center.
We have a number of ways that we believe this has to be done. One, it can be done administratively. There are a number of things that are just not working because it is exclusive power. What we have in the exclusive section of the Constitution that places overarching powers on the federal level, there are too many. So we need to reduce that.
But these are broad issues. What are the steps you itemized?
I try to explain to the audience that we do have a strategy. For us, we have a plan that will deal with both incentives as well as punishment as far as corruption is concerned.
So are you going to continue with some of the things the outgoing administration has done?
Governance is a continuum. Let me give you a specific example. The hype in the agricultural sector may be more than the product, but we cannot deny that certain critical steps have been taken that has seen an expansion of the contribution of agriculture to the GDP.
So it's a fine line between the ideal and the obtainable, but the practicalities of what happens next cannot be fully understood until May 29th. From London, Doris Okenwa, Channels Television News.
Back home, the Ondo State government has banned the sale and consumption of local gin across the entire state until it is fully established it does not contain methanol poison. A toxicology test carried out at the National Food and Drug Administration and Control Laboratory in Lagos confirmed that the alcoholic beverage actually contained high concentrations of methanol poison. The Ondo State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Adeoju, who announced the ban, told journalists 23 people have died while 10 are receiving treatments at the University College Hospital in Ibadan. And in a bid to ensure the shores of Ekeremo town in Bayelsa State are not washed away by erosion, the Niger Delta Development Company has begun the protection project at 44 Chalet National Youth Service Corps lodges in Otwoke, also in Bayelsa State. During an inspection visit at Ekeremo and Otwoke, the managing director of the NDDC, Mr. Dan Abia, explained that the NDDC remains committed to having the project completed in record time.
I want to really appreciate the community because it is a different thing giving this product to the community. It is another story whether the community really appreciates this project was given to them, and also take steps to protect them. Because it's only when you appreciate the project, it's only when you appreciate that you are one out of several communities yearning to be touched by the commission, that you will then appreciate that whatever is given to you is a privilege indeed, because there are so many others that we cannot touch. I also want to comment and walk around this community. I have seen organizations, I have seen other leaders. So I want to assure this commission that even before you ask me, I directed through your son that the community should write to me, because I must have the basis to intervene in this project.
We're here in Lagos now, where some passengers of Arik in the past few days have complained of incessant delays and cancellations of some international flights, while our cameras were not permitted into the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Ikeja. Our channel's feedback platform has been bombarded with images of stranded passengers at the terminal. Our aviation correspondent Bukola Joe Oketumbi reports.
Arik Air in the past few days has been in the news. First, hundreds of its passengers were left stranded at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, late in the week, as a result of what passengers described as a disagreement between the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria and the airline. While the crisis lingers, the Airport Authority has refused to respond to our calls. On the part of Arik Air, a top management staff had this to say to us via the telephone.
They sent us a letter sometime during the week before, and they were talking about a certain debt that is close to about 1 billion naira. So they say dates back to 6 years ago. Last year alone, we paid about 4 billion naira to fund a loan in 2014.
Again, this weekend, it has been a litany of woes, as most of its international passengers affected in what they describe as a series of delays and cancellations sent us these images. Our visit to the international airport did not yield any fruits, as the Airport Authority did not permit us to film the airline counters. Arik Air, through its Vice President Operations, Captain Ado Sanusi, has attributed the delays to the availability of fuel. He said it has remained a Herculean task for tankers to make their way from the loading area in Apapa to Ikeja, owing to the construct gridlock, making it impossible to meet their flight schedules. Most of the passengers, however, ask that the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority step in and put an end to the incessant delays and cancellations by the airline. Bukola Joe Oketumbi, Channels Television News.
There's a growing problem in Calabar, the Cross River State capital, which is of utmost concern to residents of the ancient city. It is a gang of street children, popularly referred to by many as Colombo boys, who the incoming government of Senator Ben Ayade has promised to tackle head-on. How the name Colombo came about is not known, though their activities, which is worrisome to Calabar residents, is what our community report tonight is all about.
Calabar, the Cross River State capital, has over the years stood the test of time as one of the cleanest and greenest cities in Nigeria. With the city gradually finding its way into the tourism map of Africa, it attracts on an annual basis tourists from all over the world. But the problem of street children, if not speedily checked, may give the city a bad name, with the number of these street children multiplying on a daily basis and constituting a nuisance in some major streets of the metropolis. They are generally referred to as Colombo boys, which literally means a dangerous and mindless gang constituted by destitute or street boys and girls that roam the streets freely without father, mother, and homes.
I was staying with my father here in Calabar, so I went to Akwa Ibom State to stay for a holiday with my grandfather. So as I was staying there, one day my grandfather had a call that my father is dead, and as soon as after they buried my father, I was staying there because when I was staying here in Calabar with my father, my mother normally comes to visit. So I now told my grandfather that I want him to bring me to Calabar so that I will come and stay with my mother, and he refused. And some of our family elders that I knew, and I reported it to them, and they said he should come and he should bring me so that we just come and visit. Then for some time I'll still come back, and he was angry about that. And when he now brought me to Etimeden Park, in that anger he dropped me there and said that my father died young, and that you have not seen anything that my father have done for him. That I should go, since I'm looking for my mother, that my mother is from Cross River, I should look for, and he entered another vehicle and left. Since then, it was at 2007. Since then, I've been in the streets.
They live in the open and could go for days without personal hygiene. On interaction with them, a first-hand knowledge was gotten of their well-being, plights, and reasons for their homelessness. Their stories are the same from the 1111 roundabout, the Flour Mill Junction, Atekong Drive, Bogobiri, to the State Housing Estate, all with touching tales of being driven away from their original homes either by their foster parents or stepmothers following the death of one of their biological parents.
I don't have mother, but I have father. My father is saying that I had a decent jobs, so he's saying me another one, so they don't take care of me. So okay, they send me to go and sell something. When I go to sell something, I went to go and sell watermelon. Those kid people, they collected me my watermelon. They said I should pay tax. Okay, when I went to tell my mom, she did not allow me to stay in the house. So yesterday they came and took me to the house. They say I should go and stay in the house. That my auntie pushed me. They carry the bag and give me. They pushed me. They say I should come back to the street that I belong. Okay, then that is when I come back.
Most of them have survived on the streets for over 10 years under harsh conditions and have over these years adopted strategies to cope with the harsh realities of their lives. Their tour around the street continues even at night, as captured by our cameras. They have been accused of looting shops, pickpocketing, snatching handbags and phones, which landed most of them in police custody.
You call them Skolobo boys, I call them miscreants. And then we have a lot of them. These are small boys. But their leaders who committed offenses are the ones we have in our cell. These small boys, the problem I have is if you pick them now, where do I keep them? Do I put them in my cell and continue to feed them? And when they are charged to courts, the courts will tell you they are minors.
The governor-elect Ben Ayade, who is not ignorant of this problem, has however assured the people of Cross River State of effecting a ban on their activities once he assumes office.
First, these are people who need rehabilitation, and so you need to take them to rural homes. You need to train them, reintegrate them in society. That is very critical, and that's very challenging because you need huge resources for us to do that. But it's going to be a key issue that we're going to tackle because security is indeed a serious issue. If we don't address the security issues, the investors we hope to come in will not be coming. Cross River State has got a name as a tourist place, nice people, ambient, nice, tolerant people. When we don't control these boys and it gets out of hand, it will begin to affect our economy as well. So I am looking at it as a key issue that I will address in security perspective is to deal with the issue of these boys. And of course, the second issue is also to enforce the law. So after providing the option of training, trying to reintegrate them, I will also ensure that we enforce the law fully, which means that we also need to motivate and of course equip the police to also do their job.
And the question is, will the governor-elect's words be matched with action and make the state a safe haven devoid of security threats perpetuated by these Colombo boys?
Still ahead on the news at 10, Nigerian table tennis players record fine start at World Championships in the country. That's in sports news. Please join us again.